Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Fitfam. And this is Hilary, Miss Natural Olympia.
And this is Doug, the Formulator.
And this week, we're actually entering into really in the middle of the holiday season. And we were talking about a special episode, and Hilary came up with a great idea because this affects so many people we see every year. And also, just around the world, it's actually a disorder now. And so we're going to be talking.
Yeah, we're going to be going into kind of the seasonal depression subject. And I think it kind of hits close to home for me, coming from a family that has dealt with depression in general for a vast majority of their lives. And then also myself, not really ever dealing with depression too much, and then this season, kind of for the first time ever, feeling a little bit of it. So we wanted to kind of get into it.
Yeah, and so we know of it, just talking around with people on the streets per se, is that we're talking about seasonal depression, and that it comes and goes based on seasons a lot. But there's actually a disorder for us called Seasonal Affective Disorder. Okay, so SAD, and there's a specific definition that we're going to kind of get into a little bit.
Yeah, so SAD is a mood disorder subset in which people who typically have normal mental health throughout most of the year exhibit depressive symptoms at the same time each year. It is commonly, but not always, associated with reductions or increases in total daily sunlight hours that occur during the summer or winter.
So it's actually a disorder.
It is a disorder. And actually, my father definitely dealt with this, and so did my grandfather.
And we know now, too, that it is something that isn't just, in people's minds and that, because way back in 1979, there was this guy, and his name was Herb Kern, and he was feeling that, and he's like, I wonder what this is. Huh?
Probably Herb.
Herb?
Herb?
Herb. Herb. I like herbs better.
It could be, but I think it's probably Herb.
So this Herb dude, anyways, he was a researcher, and he felt that. And he's like, man, there's something to it. And so he had some friends over at NIMH, which is a big research group. And so they started conducting these studies. And then over the years, they came and found out that, gosh, really, this is a major disorder. And they can actually track it. They can look at the things that cause it, work on things to fix it. And so that's what we're going to get into. Some of the things that you might be happening to you that is actually a part of this disorder, and then what Western medicine does to fix it, and what you need to do to fix it. So,
just kind of talking about what could possibly bring it on. Mm-hmm. Like what are some of, I don't know, the things that you feel, especially during
symptoms,
the symptoms, but I'm saying what can bring it on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So not the symptoms of it, but what could possibly bring it on. Sure. And we're talking about the seasonal depression that comes around Christmas time, around the holidays.
And so a lot of that is sunlight reduction.
Sunlight, we heard that.
Right. And a lot of it is, and we'll get into it in a minute, is actually, for some people, it's a history that's sad. Around Christmas, maybe something happened, a loved one passed away during that time, or
even the acknowledgement that a loved one that has passed away won't be experiencing it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And then a lot of it has to do with finances. People are already struggling, and now that kids and friends and family expect things, and so people are going into debt more. There's a lot to it, and that was a lot of the research, is the things that can actually cause it. One of the big things, and I think they call it a symptom too, but really just look at the patterns during the year, and most weight gain happens between October 29th all the way through the 1st of January.
Yeah, and Doug and I were talking about this. I think that kind of happens, and I am for sure guilty of this because my season ends right as Thanksgiving begins.
Week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but what happens typically, I believe for a lot of us, is that Thanksgiving, is on that Thursday. But before we celebrate Thanksgiving, where if we just had Thanksgiving and that was the day that we kind of indulged, and then we got back on track with how we normally eat, that's one thing. Our body's meant to take it in and do what it needs to with the excess, right? But the problem is that typically Thanksgiving's on Thursday, but we start celebrating Tuesday, Wednesday as we start preparing for Thanksgiving, and then we have Thanksgiving, and then we have all the leftovers. We don't want those to go to waste, and we're still with family and friends, so we still want to enjoy our time together. So we go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? And before you know it, we're a full week into really rich, sugar, fat-laden foods, right? That we're not used to eating on a daily basis, having them for the, full week, 10 days. And then what happens also around the holidays a little bit.
Good eyelash.
I know. Thank you. That thing was bothering me.
Okay.
What also happens typically, or for some of us, is that, we are so busy getting ready, especially when we have family coming in, that what gets thrown to the back burner?
Exercise.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Because it's the one thing, it's like, well, I don't have to do that. So I'm going to, put that to the side. So my first thing that I want to say is that should never be the thing that suffers. That I think more than anything, and I have proven this to myself time and time again, when my life gets most stressful, when I'm dealing with sad things, that exercise is my saving grace. So if at all possible, making exercise a non-negotiable is a non-negotiable.
Well, and I think it's a good lead in too, because we'll talk about symptoms coming up. But I think it's a great lead because one of the things they found in making a disorder that they looked at was the effects on the brain on serotonin, on dopamine, on oxytocin. And when you talk about exercise, it is the number one thing that affects the brain the most and can enact change at the lowest cost also is movement.
Yeah.
And so if something's not quite right, you're a little bit stressed, and that the exercise is the key. So making it non-negotiable is absolutely critical. And we'll talk about here at the end when we're going through all of the things that you can do to help with the seasonal affective disorder, and give you a little bit of just some little tidbits and tips to be able to help you exercise through the holidays. But what are some of the symptoms?
For sure. So some of the symptoms are sleeping too much, having little to no energy, overeating, and heightened anxiety.
Well, that was the main things from that. So when we take a look, if any of you have problems like that, meaning not able to sleep as much or oversleeping, right?
Or overeating.
And the anxiety, all that comes with it, then it could be this seasonal affective disorder. And there are two ways to go about really fixing it. And one is looking at normal Western medicine and what Western medicine does. And so if you go to a normal medical doctor and you have this, the majority of the time, and the research points it out, they were looking at what people do and where they go and what they take for seasonal affective disorder. The majority of the time, you're going to be recommended to get on what's called a SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And so you're basically going on these medications that will chemically alter the brain to try to bring it back in balance, when really the word for this disorder is seasonal, right? And so
Right.
the last thing you want to do, even if you were to ever need to be on an SSRI, because there's time and season probably for everything, but definitely not on something that's seasonal anyways, because once you go on certain drugs, then it'll affect your brain chemistry and make you dependent on them. As you look at just look at the documents and on the side effects of these drugs, and you'll see that. So really, from our standpoint, from a holistic standpoint, it's probably the last thing you really want to do, because there are some awesome holistic ways to go about with fixing this disorder.
Yeah, but we also have some theories as to also maybe why this disorder is around, and that's the overindulgence in food, in sugars and fats, and it doesn't really specifically say that.
Right. It says that overeating is a symptom.
Yes.
And really, overeating could actually be a cause.
Right.
Right. And I think that's funny that the research heads that way. And you're absolutely right. Is if you think about it, if your diet switches, like you were talking about, to more richer, creamy, higher fat type things, then you're probably not going to have the nutrient levels either. So you're missing out on the vitamin D that we'll talk about, and the nutrients, and you're adding excess stress to the body. And we know that excess fat in the body, and it might not even show up as excess fat yet, but you're starting to get that fat in the cells and starting to
Right.
build. And it's an additional toxin the body's not used to. When you add fat versus, let's say you're at a certain body fat and you maintain that, your body will get used to that and getting rid of a lot of those toxins that are created from the fats. But when you're adding fat, it's an overload on the system. So the immediate addition of fat causes a greater hormonal imbalance than if you are fat and it's stabilized and the body says, okay, this is the fat we have. Let's figure a way to
Oh,
have these toxins.
That's such a, I think you need to either say it again or say it in a different way, because that is so important. And such a light bulb, I think.
Yeah. And so basically, people don't talk about it enough. And that is, let's say you go around saying it again, and you're 20 pounds overweight, but you're 20 pounds overweight for a long period of time, months. Your body will adapt. It'll
And your
say
hormones have stabilized it.
100%. But when you're putting that fat on, the body's not used to that fat, that extra toxin in the body. And so now you are not in homeostasis and balance, and your chemical structure of your brain, of the actual serotonin, dopamine release, is going to be off, which can cause anxiety, which can cause depression because you don't feel right? You're in angst, anxiety. And so
Thank you.
that help?
Yeah.
So, but the food is huge. And as Hilary said, we just got off some of the calls with some of our great concierge clients and laying out a game plan through the holidays. And basically what we did is like, hey, you work hard to be in great shape and be healthy. And in fact, if you have a treat meal here and there, it'll help you. It'll actually help you. It's kind of like a best way to explain is like with the research on babies when they're born from cesarean section, they have more problems immunity versus having to go through the normal route, and then they get a little bacteria, but just enough so their body builds up, tolerance to it and actually reacts to it. If you have your treat foods once in a while, your body reacts to it. We're ready, and your metabolism actually increases. You can actually
deal
increase
with
that
this.
metabolism.
Yeah.
Exactly
Yeah.
like that. Versus if you consistently do it. So what we do is we lay out, okay, you've been working hard, you're paying the price, you're on this plan. And so through the holidays, we're going to give you a few extra treat meals, but plan it out. It's going to be twice this week or, once a week through the holidays. Plan it out so you can enjoy the moment. Don't worry about anything. It's about being able to create memories and relationships, but then get back on. It's the not staying consistent that's the key.
Are we going into tips? Because that's a tip.
Oh, that's a tip. We'll wait. Sorry.
Okay.
We'll get the better tips in a minute. But let's talk about the things that we recommend holistically. One is the healthier nutrition plan, and we'll come back to tips with that. The second is making sure you load up on vitamin D for two reasons. One is, like they said, that a lot of people
You're not getting as much sunlight.
sunlight. And a lot of people think that's the only thing, but yet they've done studies in Arizona and Florida showing that if you don't have the right nutrients in the body and other precursors of vitamin D, that all the sun in the world won't do you any good. So you need vitamin D. We highly recommend you take extra vitamin D through the holidays, at least 5,000 IUs. Try to make it more from a mushroom or a whole food. But vitamin D is another one. A light therapy has been found to be very, very beneficial. So we're talking like infrared, red light therapy. A lot of you have saunas, maybe infrared light. Even you'll see those sunlight lamps and that. Even those are beneficial, but that's mainly, we still get a lot of sun in Arizona. It's cold.
Yeah, we do.
Almost got 50 today.
It was 50.
Was it?
I mean, 59.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah,
So-
we still enjoy the sun.
But places are not for sure. The other thing is about mentally looking at the positive, right? And we talk so much about that.
Yeah, and that can, I know oftentimes when I'm feeling it and I'm just not feeling great, and Doug tries to be like, oh, look at all these positives, that doesn't typically help me to have somebody in my ear screaming all the positives that I have. But if I go in for later, if I go introspective, if I go inward and really have some quiet time to myself. I notice when I'm feeling a lot of angst or anxiety, I've been off my journal game for a while. And I don't mean writing in your journal constantly, that kind of thing. But I do mean something that takes 5 minutes morning and night, where you can either be prompted to answer things, or you can prompt yourself and just kind of put out how your day went and then frame it in the most positive way.
I love that.
So that helps me if I will take the time, and it's not always somebody telling you how positive your life is and all the wonderful and many things that you have. Because it's funny, it's like when you're going through it, you try to make people understand, no, I know that, but I still feel this way, right? So, but if you know that about yourself, sometimes putting it on paper and visually seeing it can help versus somebody in your ear speaking it to you.
Like that. And I'll kind of play off that. And also, she needs to make a journal for everyone, right? You need to have a Hilary journal that everyone can get. So
I
maybe
have one
guys.
that everybody can get off of Amazon. I don't need to make one. It's perfect.
So along that same lines, I think that obviously, like what I could do better too with that is that you really don't need someone yelling at your ear or talking to you like that. But what you need to do is to speak to yourself instead of listen to yourself, and that's what journaling does, and or anything like
really
that. So what do you mean by that is you got thoughts and you're creating stories. Most of them aren't real, about the holidays or different things like that, and that's what can cause depression. So don't listen to yourself, speak to yourself. And you can speak to yourself through affirmations. You write it on the mirrors, you have the yellow post-its, you read great positive health books, you do journaling, because the journaling in your journal asks you questions about, what you're thankful for and all that. And so I think that that's the key. And that's one thing I wanted to point out. The biggest thing that I think that isn't talked about when it comes to seasonal affective disorder or even depression is that if you will speak to yourself properly, then not just a positive affirmation, but just speak to yourself, that can help tremendously, because what you speak to yourself creates a vibration that will allow the cells to be able to work at a higher level and a joyous level, because the highest level of frequency is a level of joy and happiness. And so think about it and speak to yourself. So if I say something to Hilary, what I really should say is anything seems sound good or they're right, go speak that to yourself and see if it resonates.
Wouldn't matter what he said to me. No, but honestly, something that I had heard once, and I thought it was such a great piece of advice. Thought it was kind of funny at first, but sometimes if you're dealing with negative thoughts or fears or that kind of anxiety, depression, that kind of thing, and you put it on paper and you kind of speak it how you're feeling, right? But then after you write it down how you're feeling, write it how you want it, right? So right after that's how you feel, turn the next page and write it how you want it, like the best possible scenario. How do you want it? So write that out and then read that. That can be very, very helpful.
I love it.
And I think if you're a loved one, kind of trying to help somebody have a positive mindset, sometimes it's less about what you say to try to help them have a positive mindset and more about loving them and embracing them. And
What is love? Baby, don't hurt
good
me.
about you. But really, and more about hugging and saying, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. Is there anything I can do? Instead of trying, that as a woman, that's what I would prefer than having somebody try to fix it, because it's not really something that needs to be.
As a guy, I'd really just get kicked in the butt. Like, get over it, stupid head.
Okay. We are talking about seasonal depression, so maybe you could.
Stupid head wouldn't work.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Guys.
all right.
Okay, I'm gonna stand up.
And so another one
That
I like that part.
that's Bob's.
No, keep that in. Keep that in. All right. So another one, and then we'll go through some more of the tips. We're kind of adding tips with it, but just to kind of the last one really with that is, and we talked about exercise, so we'll come back to that with some more tips, but is to rewrite the story. One of the studies went back and saw that a lot of people were depressed, like I said, mentioned, because a loved one died during that time, and had a surgery during that time, or some event happened, a car accident because of drinking, or whatever. All these, because things do happen at a higher percentage during the holidays like that with accidents and stuff. And the concept is to rewrite the past,
Right.
kind of with our friend and client Ben Hardy teaches. And I think that that's really amazing, because if you look at some of these phenomenal stories of people who've gone through tremendous pain and just terrible things happened to them, but they've turned around and shared their experience of overcoming with others and helped so many people. It doesn't have to make the event good. Don't rewrite the story that was a good event,
Right.
but what came from it. And then you can look forward now to that time of year in a different avenue. This is a time that, this changed my life, but I also grew from that, and I can share that growth. So rewriting the story for some people is an answer with it. So let's just jump back real quick. Straight thing with vitamins. We mentioned vitamin D. So first tip, 5,000 IUs, whole food based. Two more vitamins with great research on them. One's called NADH. NADH. NADH has some great research on it. showing that it helps with anxiety and depression, especially from it's like a lot of people take it for when they're drinking a lot, and
Right.
hangovers,
Yeah.
but also for flights and
Oh.
to do it for jet lag,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so NADH has been shown that when you just have that little extra taken out of you, that it helps to replenish immediately. So NADH can be in the moment really big help, like
Cool.
within 20 minutes. And the last supplement is called DIM. DIM is a phytonutrient found in vegetables, but it helps to regulate estrogen. And believe it or not, estrogen goes up with men and women, mainly probably due to the food. They didn't say why in the study.
Yeah, but it would make sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it would make sense. So I just want to thank you. Those are awesome tips. And I want to say this one thing about taking your supplements and your vitamins, because what's easy to do is easy not to do. So
David Meltzer.
it is this time of year where the things that are easy to do, make them easy and do them. The things that are easy, just stink and do them, because your body needs them more than ever. So the vitamins, that's awesome. And that's an easy one.
One
Stick with
last
them.
one. Glutathione.
Ooh.
That's a big one.
And it's
Glutathione. In fact, I have my little juice here, right? Cucumber, apple, ginger, lemon, and I put a glutathione in here,
help
and
the
it,
taste?
oh gosh, so much because it's so hard to drink that one. Super good. Put glutathione in the bad tasting juices. That's
Great tip.
great tip. All right,
Yeah.
so let's go right now to
Also along the same, sorry,
Yeah,
but it's
you're
along
good.
the same lines of the vitamins. Increase your probiotics around this time of year, because most of us are going to be consuming more sugar. So let's do our best to keep those parking spaces within our gut full of the good bacterias.
Absolutely. In fact, we're going to meet with 3 of our top concierge clients in Boise this weekend. And we've decided that besides all the testing and all that we do with them, that our big, picture, the thing we're going to really focus on the most with them is their probiotics, fermented foods,
Yeah.
gut health through the holidays. So it's really good.
Yeah, so some really great fermented foods. So if you take a supplement, your probiotics, great, continue that, increase it during the holiday season. But also, if you are not a constant probiotic fermented food eater, start and increase it if you are. So some really great ones are, for me, what I like is the Kavita sparkling lemonade. That one has
It has something called Bacillus coagulans in
Thank
it,
you.
which is a very specific probiotic. Because most probiotics are like, think of them, they're alive and they're little fuzzy guys. But coagulans are like in a case, they're encased. And so they can be in that sparkly drink and get in, and then they open up and millions of little guys go out.
So, and the sugars in that one are, I believe, 6. So you have a lower sugar content. Doug says he's gonna forget about the sparkling part of that and let us have that one. So the Kavita with
Because of the coagulants.
lemonade because of coagulants, and also with that one, if you add the glutathione, it can improve the taste if you don't like just how sour
Yeah,
that
you
one
need to
is.
do that.
So that one's great. Also, another great one is sauerkraut, and you can get a number of different sauerkrauts. Just make sure on the sauerkraut container that it says fermented and probiotic, right? Or
Right,
one or the
that's
other.
really key. Yeah, so we're going to go to TSO, my favorite concert of the year.
Trans-Siberian
Trans-Siberian,
Orchestra.
and we're going to be at the ballpark there, and they're going to have sauerkraut. Not that type of sauerkraut. It needs to say fermented on it.
Yeah.
Some of your favorite brands?
Bubbies.
Bubbies.
That's a really good one. And they have a spicy one. I think the spicy one for Bubbies is too spicy for me. There's another one. It comes in a little plastic jar. I can't remember the name of it, so I'll find the name of that
Put it in
one.
the show notes.
And put it in the show notes. The other probiotic is I'm Siggy's yogurt. Plain yogurt has a ton of probiotics in it, and sweetened with either monk fruit stevia or some honey. It's fabulous. So there's some good options for probiotic foods.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's move on to nutrition real quick. A few more tips on nutrition for you.
Okay, so a few tips on nutrition. Here's a few that I would give. One, plan your fun treat holiday meals. Okay, plan them out. And some will come up, and that's okay. Allow them to come up and enjoy them, but never let them extend day in and day out and day in and day out. And that is something I'm still learning, still trying to overcome. That is a hard one sometimes. The trick is that if something comes into your house, the second you're done with that meal or enjoying it with family and friends, it goes out of your house.
The treats.
The treats. Do not allow the treats to stay around, because you will continue to eat them. If they're there and it's an option, then oftentimes it's hard to not make it the choice that you make. So once you're done with them, once you're done with the meal, they either go home with somebody else or they go in the garbage.
I think that's really critical too, because the neat thing about this time of year too, though, is there's a lot of special treats and little boutiques and places everywhere to get things. So
Yes.
there's no need to have them in your home. Have your home be your place that the majority of the time you're following the right health principles, so that when you do have those treats, your body just burns it. But it's that consistency that you're talking about.
Yes.
Those extra chocolate raisins, those extra cookies, and so you have that
He
constant.
mentions those because those have been my weakness lately. That's just not nice of him to mention it right now. Anyways, but also if somebody brings you a treat or a dessert, which is so thoughtful, and I love it, and I will always partake. If they bring it to you, awesome, partake of it, have some of it. Don't leave it in your house. It's just, it just will compound.
Great
Okay?
tip. And then as many berries, fruits, and vegetables fresh as you can.
That's the other thing.
Really add a bunch to anything you're eating, any meal you have, and if it's a special meal, have a large salad with it, have a lot of berries with it.
So we always try to say with whatever meal or snack that you're having, add something raw. Whatever meal or snack, throw in some berries if you need to, cut up some celery. Even if it's just celery, even if it's something as simple as that, keeping the raw foods, the enzymes running through your body will really help during this holiday season.
Absolutely.
And so also, I just want to say soda, because it is something that people consume more of. Don't allow soda to stay in your house. Get rid of it.
Well, and that leads to nutrition. I wanted to save the one supplement during nutrition instead of the supplement section, and that is our number one supplement on the planet that we believe in, we take every day, no matter what. It's been our top seller for 30 years, is Digestamil. So basically, enzymes and probiotics. If you'll take a Digestamil capsule or a good enzyme probiotic supplement from whoever, if you want to take an inferior one, then if you take that with each meal, then what you're doing is you're ensuring the digestion of that meal, because a lot of the foods that you're eating, as Hilary's talking about, are different right now, and your body's not used to those. And so it'll help break them down and digest them, so your body can turn them into an actual thermogenic, building the ability for your body to burn.
So take your Digestamil, but not just take your Digestamil. Take your Digestamil with you. When you are traveling and you're going to somebody else's house for the weekend, for the holidays, whatever, take that with you. It's just an extra source of, health, and making those treat foods work for you, not against you.
All right.
So,
Perfect.
okay.
Exercise.
Exercise. Okay, here's the deal. Exercise, what's that saying? Exercise hides a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
And that
Jack
is
LaLanne.
twice as true in the holiday season. So where it's easy to go, oh, I only have so much time, what's the thing that's going to have to go? Exercise? No, not this time, not this season. So I am challenging everyone out there, and I'm challenging myself, and I'm challenging Doug, that through this holiday season, no matter how busy we get, we maintain our exercise. Now, does that mean that the exercise might have to come down a bit? Maybe we don't have as much time in the gym on a daily basis. Okay, then allow that to be the case, but make sure your exercise is happening as consistently as it does outside of the holiday season. Right. If you're traveling, stay at a hotel. Always look it up before you book your hotel, and make sure you're staying at a hotel that has a gym. Or something that Doug and I like to do is research the gyms around where we're staying and kind of make it a date where we go out and work out at a gym near. So those are two really great ones.
And I like also that if you're not a gym goer, or you just don't have the time, you don't find yourself doing that, then there's still no excuse, because we travel a lot. I've traveled forever, and sometimes you're just stuck. I'm stuck in a hotel room, and I've only have 20 minutes between calls or meetings and that. And all you need is your body weight. So you do air squats, standing squats, you do lunges. If there's not enough room to lunge down the hall and back, then do it in your room. I've lunged down many hallways at hotels
and airports.
And then your push-ups. So if there's nothing else, you can get those in.
Those in, and if you're, when you're out Christmas shopping, park the furthest parking space away so that you can do more walking. Instead of taking the escalator, take the stairs. Because during this holiday season, your body needs it, your mind needs it. So give yourself as many opportunities to exercise as possible. And if or when you're going to travel to see family or friends, or family and friends are coming to visit you, make it known that you will be exercising, and you can make it fun. If you're going to see someone else, ask them about certain gyms or hikes that you can possibly take, exploring new parks, that kind of thing. Or what we love to do around the holidays season is do holiday 100s. So make it kind of a fun, cool thing where you do something different for the holidays.
Well, at Thanksgiving, which in my mind for a little bit, I'm thinking, oh, we're gonna, I won't be in the gym as much because it's a holiday. And in fact, we're out there probably 5 times as much and we loved it because friends, family came over and they're like, let's exercise. So we go out in the gym and trained one group, then trained another group. And we all did 100 reps of everything, played really good Christmas music, and just enjoyed our time there.
I mean, played Christmas music.
Well, like Doc and AC/DC.
Doug has the worst. It's Santa Claus is coming to town.
By Doc. Listen to it.
It's terrible. It makes Santa Claus is coming to town this creepy song.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's terrible. Anyways, okay, what are some other tips?
And so with the exercise, one more on the exercise, because we talked about standing squats and lunges with the body weight and push-ups, but you're missing one big group's your back. And here's a quick little tip. That if you get a towel, so you're in a hotel room, you don't have anything, get a towel, open a door, and wrap the towel around both knobs. Okay, so you're facing the door, you wrap around both knobs, and you put your feet by the door and you lean back, and you can pull and do rows with using the door and the towel, and it's a great way to do back. So you got back, right, and you can even hold it like this and do biceps. And you get the push-ups for the chest and triceps. You do the standing squats. You do the lunges. That's a great little workout.
Love it.
And so, great way to do it.
It's not so much about depression or like seasonal depression, but staying up on your probiotics, like and your vitamin C. We didn't mention vitamin C, but
So sometimes I was looking that up on the Seasonal Affective Disorder and about immunity, because it can be depressing if you're sick.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have one client right now in Florida that's getting ready to go to Columbia tomorrow, and she wasn't feeling real well. And so she was depressed about not feeling good during the holiday to go see family.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a big factor. That's why I want to boost the immune system. And, what's interesting is we've had a lot of people go and get tested and they didn't have COVID and they didn't have the normal flu, but there's just a crazy bug going around and that. And so the key with that is, again, to keep your levels up. So your vitamin D, we love a lot of the different herbs now that we've seen actually have multiple properties against bacteria and viruses and that to build up. We have something called an exposure protection pack. It's just a pack of every known herb and vitamin and nutrient that you should have. So you can look that up online at optimalhealthsystems.com and then look at it, and you can go out and buy somewhere else if you want those nutrients. Those are the most researched nutrients out there today to build the immune system. So good point with that. Just finishing up, I want to just mention one thing, and I'll let you kind of close it out.
I have a few other tips, just really quickly. Is that okay? Or are you going into more tips?
Go ahead. What subject?
I was just going to say to help with stress, like the stress of the holidays. Being as organized as you can with different parties that you're throwing or having family come over, I think can really help with feeling stressed about it. So if you have like a meal plan, write out your meal plan, what you can do to prep for that meal plan prior to everybody getting there. That can help a lot. And then also creating around the holidays, not just gift giving, but letter giving or that kind of thing. So create some activities where it involves maybe less, if it's a financial stress, less finances and more creativity.
My children every year ask what they should get me. What do I tell them?
A letter.
And honestly, there's not a gift on the planet that they could give me that I appreciate better than a letter. And I think that I'm probably not alone. For most people, at least might be not be your number one thing, but you know that you'd appreciate that. And so if that's what you would appreciate, give that back. And there is great research. Ever since one of my mentors, David Meltzer, talked about his mission to, teach people gratitude to billions of people, that started realizing, man, this is powerful. And there's actually some great research into helping your mindset. So going against and helping with depression and that by giving and serving.
Oh, good. So, okay, that's one of the best tips ever too, is get out of your own head and mess, really. Get out of and serve someone else. Do something for someone else, because that does somehow that just fills different holes within your soul.
Absolutely.
You know, also games. At games, you can find games all over that cost zero money. So play more games with your family.
Love games.
Okay, great. Move on.
Awesome. Any other tips?
I think that's all for now. I might come up with another one.
Okay. So what
I
we'll
don't know.
do.
Start talking. I'll come up.
I know. So I think that what we'll do is just kind of close out. We talk about this, and I think it's so important to understand that people that go through seasonal affective disorder many times want to hold it in because they're around family and friends are not normally around, and they think, gosh, it's just in my head. It's not. It's an actual disorder caused by a chemical change in the body, and that chemical change can happen from your thoughts. It can happen from the food, your environment, a lack of sunlight, and just a choice to eat more foods that aren't healthy. And so because of that, you can make a choice, right, to eliminate a lot of those that lowers the risk and the chance of having seasonal affective disorder.
I love that. And don't you love the concept that it is a chemical reaction that's happening? Because I feel like a lot of us feel like, oh, I don't know what's wrong. What's wrong with me? When there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong. There's a chemical reaction that's happening, and you just have to address the chemical reaction.
Absolutely. That's it. And that's how it really should be looked at. So everyone, thank you so much. We hope you have just a joyful holiday season. Hopefully you'll tune in throughout the rest of the holidays. And if you have any thoughts on any of these things with seasonal affective disorder and some things that maybe you have done
Would love
can help, would love for you to give us comments on that, and we'll mention it in an upcoming episode. As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia. Hilary?
And this is Thunderclaws.
Oh, we'll talk about that next time. Take care. Keep chewing.